Hello everybody, welcome back to Learning Biology. This is 13.6. Alright, so in the previous video, 13.5, it's a relatively easy chapter talking about fertilization. That is a very short video. However, for 13.6, this one will be a little bit more difficult. Alright, a little bit more tough. So please get ready. First of all, so after fertilization, that means both gametes fuse together to form a zygote. Okay, so what happened after that? 之後發生咩事呢？咁就會有呢個嘅 implantation 啦。Okay, so just a little bit of revision. Remember that fertilization, 自己讀一讀先啦。Where does it take place? 記住啦， you do not just tell me it's the oviduct. It would be better if you can tell me that it's the upper part of the oviduct. Alright? And then, it will keep on moving, right? The zygote will carry out, 就會進行啲乜嘢啊？ It will carry out 呢一個嘅 mitosis, and then it will become an embryo. The embryo will keep on moving down, 繼續向出咁樣行嘅。It will keep on moving down to the uterus, and then when it moves to the uterine lining, 當佢去到呢個 uterine lining 嗰陣時，佢就會去做到一樣嘢啦。It will carry out the implantation. 就會進行一個嘅 implantation 啦。Alright? Okay, so let's look at here. So when we talk about the implantation, 啱講咗啦 zygote will start moving down the oviduct, and then it will keep on carrying out the mitosis, mitotic cell division 啦，直至到 it will become a ball of cells called an embryo. Okay? So previously in the, you do not need to learn it now. I think. Is it? I'm not very sure, but let's see. Normally, when will we say that it is an embryo? 幾時先至會叫做一個 embryo 呢？ Normally, we say that it is like more than 16 cells. Okay? Normally, after it gets more than 16 cells, it will become an embryo. Alright? 好，陣間再講啦。So after reaching the uterus, so it will embed itself. 嗱 ，embed 呢隻字要識嘅，自己讀先啦。embed 咁即係着床啦，中文就係着床。And it's just like implant itself into the thickened uterine lining， 就入咗呢個 uterine lining 嗰度啦。This process, first of all, remember this definition as well. OK， 亦都要記一記呢啲嘅 definition 嘅。Embedding itself into the thickened uterine lining 啦，呢一個過程 we call this the implantation. Okay, it occurs about 7 days， 大概7日嘅日子啦。And once it is embedded， 當佢一進行咗呢個 implantation 之後咧 ，this means pregnancy takes place。呢個係一個啱啱開始嘅 pregnancy 嚟嘅。Alright， so just a very quick and easy revision on mitosis. Every time it will become 2 identical cells. Alright， 兩個係一模一樣嘅。And first of all, so 1 cell, 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells, and then a lot of cells. Okay, this diagram looks like more than 16 cells, alright? 咁所以啦，你會見到啦 it becomes a ball of cells. Okay, 好啦 so just look at this diagram, just a revision. 第一樣嘢啦，會 ovulation happen 啦，然後就會有 fertilization 啦，然後啦 it will keep on carrying on mitosis until it forms a ball of cells. OK， 咁佢點樣 move down 啊？都會係 by beating action of 呢個 cilia 啦，同埋呢個 peristaltic contraction of 呢個 inner muscle 啦 ，internal muscle wall 啦，係咪啊 ？So these two, again, as I told you, remember them. And then it will divide repeatedly 直到佢 form 咗一個 an embryo 啦。And by definition, it's usually more than 16 cells. OK， 好啦 ，when it is ready， 當佢完全準備好嗰陣時咧 ，the embryo 就會 implantation takes place. In the thickened uterine lining 啦。Okay, so and then once implantation takes place， 我哋就會講啦，呢一個叫係 pregnancy， 即係代表佢已經係有身紀嘅啦。Alright， she already has she already is pregnanted. Alright， 好啦，然之後咯 ，the first thing we need to see is the development of the embryo。嗱 ，not yet 未去變到呢一個嘅 fetus 住嘅 ，alright， there are a lot before the embryo becomes a fetus，OK， 有好多嘢要準備嘅。So first one， 自己睇嗰度啦 amnion，即係代表羊膜。Alright, this membrane is called an amnion. Okay, so okay, from now on, sorry, I didn't mention that. So we said that it's like 7 days after fertilization takes place, 7日啦, it will carry out implantation, right? Days are not that important, not as important as menstruation. 得唔得 ？Menstruation 嗰啲日子 the days, you need to remember them. But for these parts, it's not that important, alright? 好啦，然後啦就話 after your implantation，佢就話咯 some cells of the embryo 啦就慢慢 form a membrane，佢只係一個薄膜嚟啫 ，it's only a very thin membrane called the amnion。amnion 會點啊 ？amnion 會 enclose，即係代表佢會封住咗、包圍咗呢個嘅 embryo 嘅。Alright, and then between 呢一個嘅embryo 啦，同埋呢一個嘅 membrane 嗰度咧 ，you will know that there is a liquid 係會有一種嘅 liquid 嘅，咁你都會知中文佢就係羊水啦。Alright， 成日穿羊水啦。So it is a clear and then actually slightly yellow 嘅，係微微地黃色嘅。This one 我哋俾佢一個 adjective，指多一次啦 ，amniotic fluid， 中間嘅位置就會羊水就叫 amniotic fluid 啦。Okay, so just quickly, this is the amnion, and then between 一個嘅 embryo 咯，同埋 amnion 就會有 amniotic fluid 啦。Okay, so for the two structures, we're going to talk about them in next page. 咁但係去讀一讀先啦。中間一個係臍帶，指讀啦 umbilical cord。另外啦 ，this one is just like a disc， 好似一塊碟咁樣啦，或者 it's just like a piece of meat 喺度，係一塊肉咁樣啦。OK， so this is called the placenta， 就係我之前同你講嘅胎盤啦。OK。After that, let's look at this one. So please put a big star here. Okay, this is important. Please put a big star here. We're talking about the amniotic fluid 嘅 function. 嗱，呢個緊要嘅。Alright. So how do you remember it? 陣間再講啊。But we go through the 5 points first. 先講咗5樣嘢先。You will see that some of them are very often repeated， 係經常性係會咁樣用嘅。Alright, and you see 2 of them already. OK， 睇一睇啦。So first one, it acts as a cushion， 佢會係作為一個 cushion 咁樣啦 ，to protect the embryo， 保護嘅。OK， so if you're good enough, please remember this one as well. Mechanical， 即係一啲機械性嘅。即係啲物理性啦，衝擊波咁樣啦 ，alright？ So mechanical is like something like physical， alright？ So prevent 或者 protect 呢個 embryo 啦 from 一啲嘅 mechanical 嘅 injury 嘅 ，OK 嘅一啲傷害啦，機械性傷害啦。And then next thing 佢會 provide 一個 stable environment 啦，佢包括係有好多嘢都要 keep constant 嘅，指到嗰度啦 ，constant 即係代表穩定嘅。For example， 例如係temperature 啊，例如可能係 pH 啊，water 嘅 amount 啊 ，alright？ So all of these are kept constant， 得唔得 ？Okay, so these two are the 2 points I want you to always remember。呢個其實之前已經講過啦 ，we've mentioned this already earlier。When do we mention this？ 就係講緊呢一個嘅 uterus 嗰陣時。Alright， 講 uterus 嗰陣時咧，其實佢已經係 mainly for 呢個 protection of 呢一個嘅 embryo 噶啦。Alright， 自己可以 you can look back at page 5 of your book。Alright， so the function of uterus 都係 protect the embryo 同埋 provide a stable environment 嘅。So therefore, always remember these 2 points。得唔得 ？So the next 3 we are going to focus on something more about the amniotic fluid， 係特別針對性少少噶啦 ，alright， more specific to the amniotic fluid。咁就係點啊 ？Prevent from desiccation，desiccation 即係脫水，指多次啦 ，desiccation。And then it allowed it to move around more easily。And then lastly 就係 when the mother gives birth， 當佢去生仔嗰陣時啦，當佢分娩嗰陣時啦 ，it will lubricate the vagina。Okay, during childbirth。Lubricate the vagina. Okay, so usually it takes about 9個半月 9 months and a half for a baby to get birth. Okay, and normally 就會 in the end 咧係會1 liter of 一個嘅 amniotic fluid 嘅。 Okay, so this is also just like a story, so you can take it easily. 好啦，咁然後就會講咯喎。At the beginning of your pregnancy 啦，其實most of the amniotic fluid 都會只係 water 嚟嘅咧，即係 mainly water from the mother。但係啦 ，after 4 months, that means 其實the baby starts carrying out the respiration， 佢開始進行緊 respiration 啦，佢嘅organs 就係器官啦。The baby's organs starts to function， 開始去進行一啲嘅功能啦 ，begins to function。OK， 開始去運作啦。And then what will happen? As you can see here， 咁我哋this time we will talk about the kidneys。kidneys 就係一個腎臟，自己讀到啦 kidneys。OK，and then 呢個 fetus 咧就會開始飲咗啲水嘅，都要 swallow the amniotic fluid and urinate。OK，urinate 即係去 carry out urination 啦，即係排尿啦。Eventually 去最尾啦 ，the amniotic fluid 咧就會 mainly become urine 嘅 in the end。OK。So that's a bit of relaxing extra information. The next part, this part is not relaxing, so please get ready. Okay? 好嚟啦喎，咁樣啦，after forming the amnion 形成咗呢一個羊膜之後啦 ，we also talk about the placenta。placenta 就係你嘅胎盤啦。So this one。the amnion mainly provides protection, right? Most of the function is about protection. But only protection is not enough. 唔足夠㗎嘛。We still need to give nutrients and 一個 oxygen to the baby and take away some not so good things from the baby, right? 所以啦 who carries out this function 就係呢個 placenta 啦，就係呢個胎盤啦。Alright 好啦 so the embryo will develop finger-like villi， 佢會有一啲嘅纖毛啊 finger-like villi。So what is villi? I hope you remember because in chapter 6 when we talk about the digestive tract, and that will be inside our ileum to increase the surface area, okay, to absorb the nutrients. For absorption of nutrients. Okay, so this part, yeah, so this part there, it develops a lot of villi. Okay, so therefore 其實呢一個 placenta 係啲咩嚟嘅咧 ？Placenta is a thing that is made by both the embryo and the mother， 係兩個夾埋一齊嘅。Alright， 咁嚟睇一睇咯。So it will develop something like villi into the uterine lining， 入咗去一個嘅內膜嗰度咯 ，into the uterine lining。So imagine something like this. So the placenta is very easily drawn. It's just like this. Okay, so as you can see, this side will be the baby. I'll just draw a big B. And this side will be the mother. Okay, so the baby will develop these structures of the villi, and then it gets into the uterine lining. So 會黐住咗 ，okay, into the uterine lining 嘅。而 at the same time 啦，就會 some maternal 嘅 uterine tissue 啦。Uterine 係咩嚟㗎？ That means related to 唔係 urine 喎。That means it is related to uterus 啦 ，uterine 啊嘛 ，related to uterus， 同個子宮係相關嘅。Alright, so it will form with the maternal 嘅 uterine tissue 啦 ，and then 形成咗一個 organ， 係暫時性嘅啫 ，a temporary organ。我寫喺度啊。It will form a temporary organ， 暫時性嘅 organ。咁你都見到啦，係一個 disc shape， it's called the placenta， 就叫做 placenta 啦。Alright, so but the baby, if you look carefully, let me see. Oh, look at this diagram. If you look carefully, the baby is not attached to uterine lining. 佢唔係黐實咗喺個 uterine lining 度㗎嘛。So there is a duct, there is a tube here， 會好似有條嘢喺度嘅。呢一條就會係一個 umbilical cord 啦。Okay, so let's go and continue. 咁你會見到啦，個 placenta 就會 connected to the embryo 啦，係會 connect 咗中間條橋嘅。There is a bridge, and the bridge is called the umbilical cord。得唔得？就係個臍帶啦。And then this one, you see similar things when we talk about the heart, right? However, the umbilical cord is a little bit different from our concept. 正常嚟講 normally, for every organ, we think that there is only one artery and then one vein, alright? 或者 major 啦 major 即係主要嘅話 there is mainly one vein and then one artery, right? 但係啦 however, when we talk about the umbilical cord, 佢其實係會有 two arteries and then one umbilical vein, 係一條嘅 vein 嘅啫。So can you tell me immediately which one are the arteries and which one are the vein? Okay, 當然啦 you can see the answer here. But how can you tell me the difference? Can you revise a bit about chapter 8 and tell me the difference? First one 啦，去諗一諗咯。我哋會 talk about the muscular wall， 我哋會講到佢哋嗰個嘅肌肉嘅厚度啊，或者我用肌肉嘅壁啦，肌壁啦，係咪啊 ？So which one is thicker? The artery will be thicker. They have a thicker muscular wall 嘅 ，okay? And therefore, at the same time, inside, as you can see, there is this white area here, right? 好細嘅一個白色嘅位置啦。This one has a name. If you remember, this one, the name is lumen, alright? And then, since the artery has a thicker muscular wall, 佢有一個厚啲嘅肌肉壁，所以啦 the lumen will be normally for the artery will be smaller， 通常都會細啲嘅。But then you will see that, hey, I can't see any white thing here. But in fact, this red color here is also the lumen of the vein. 成個呢個位置都係一個 lumen 嚟嘅。And at the same time 啦，你會望到個 muscular wall 係相對地 thinner 嘅，同埋 flexible 嘅。Alright, so better go back to chapter 8 if you cannot really remember what I'm talking about. Okay? 好啦 one more thing. This is also very important. Okay? Besides talking about the artery and vein, 另外一個好重要嘅 concept 係乜嘢咧？ We're going to talk about two very special exceptions in our body. 係 two exceptions of our body. 講緊嘅 exception 就係講緊呢個 artery 啦。So normally, can you tell me, artery will carry which type of blood? 係 oxygenated 定係 deoxygenated? Normally 嘅話咧，其實佢會 carry oxygenated blood 嘅。However, when we learn chapter 8, we know that there are two exceptions. One of them, very easy, 就會係其中一個啦，就會係一個嘅 pulmonary 啦。Pulmonary, that is to the 寫好少少啊 pulmonary artery 啦，就係 from the heart to the lung. Alright? The other one, 我話我遲啲再講嘅 that is this one, umbilical artery. Okay? 今次就係 from the mother body to the lung. Sorry, to the fetus, to the embryo. Okay? 好啦 so just a very short revision again. Remember, what does it mean by artery? It means leaving the heart. 離開心臟嘅就係 artery. What means the vein? 就係 entering the heart. Okay? This is always true. 呢個係永遠都啱嘅。Okay? 嗱，呢度要聽得好清楚啊。About all these concepts. The last thing I would like to talk about is what is the embryo? So very easy. Okay? 嗱，依家去睇一睇啦。Let me tell you the answer first. What is the embryo? You can think, so help me put this down. You can think the embryo as a heart. This is how I remember this chapter. 呢個係我點樣去記一個嘅課題啦。 Okay, you can just think the embryo is a heart. Okay, we'll talk about that later. 嗱，呢幾樣嘢記低咗佢先。First one， 我哋講咗 ，we need to distinguish 去分辨翻啦 ，what is artery and what is vein. After that, we're going to talk about the exceptions. We're going to talk about 呢個 oxygenated blood 同埋呢個 deoxygenated blood 啦。正常嚟講 ，normally artery will have oxygenated blood, but there are two exceptions. 嗰兩個 exception 係啲咩啊？就係 pulmonary artery 同埋一個嘅 umbilical artery 啦。OK， 然後啦 ，try to remember something in chapter 8. What is artery? 就係 leaving the heart. What is vein? 就係 entering the heart. 最尾一樣啦 ，What is embryo? 簡單嚟講 ，think of the embryo as a heart, as another heart. 得唔得 ？OK? So let's continue. 咁我哋就繼續講咯喎。咁two umbilical arteries 啦，佢哋係 exception， 所以佢哋會 carry deoxygenated blood 啦。umbilical vein 就會 carry oxygenated blood 嘅。OK？ 好啦 ，still remember，OK， 啱啱先而家去睇咯喎。We're going to talk about the blood flow, and then reply this question. What does it mean by embryo as a heart? 而家去諗咯喎。啱啱講咗 entering the heart， 即係 entering the embryo 啦。From the placenta to the embryo， 即係 entering the embryo， 就等於 vein 啦。Leaving the heart, leaving the embryo， 即係 from embryo to placenta， 呢個就係 artery。Alright, this is how I remember. Let's see if this is helpful to you. 如果有用嘅，唔該自己記低佢啦。Okay? So, this is the most difficult part, I think. But if you think like me, to think that the embryo is actually another heart, then that will be very easy. Okay? 好，冇問題嘅話咧 we're going to talk about the contents. Sometimes in a previous DSE paper, it is tested about the comparison. Just be careful, especially in MC. 要好小心 ，OK? Do not mix these two ups. Usually 啊，你哋會好容易 mix up 就係okay, I remember this is an exception, but then you are not so sure about what exactly is the artery carrying. 佢會係 deoxygenated blood 定係 oxygenated blood? Artery 係 deoxygenated， 自己寫一寫啊。Okay, this one is deoxygenated blood. And then for the umbilical vein 係 oxygenated blood. Okay, so please be careful for these comparisons, especially in MC. 好啦，咁然後啦 ，if you understand the blood vessel well， 如果你認得好佢哋好清楚嘅話咧 ，then it will be very easy。咁我哋會講到 oxygen 啦。首先啊，啱啱講咗啦 ，umbilical artery 先，佢哋係一個 deoxygenated blood 噶嘛。咁即係簡單嚟講 ，it is leaving the embryo， 係離開緊 embryo 嘅。當然啦，會 less oxygen，more carbon dioxide，less nutrient，more urea。Right？ 佢係 leaving the embryo。好啦，另外一個啦就係 entering the embryo。當然啦 ，there will be more oxygen, less carbon dioxide, more nutrient, less urea. That's all. OK， 講完啦。再嚟咯 ，blood pressure。blood pressure 講乜嘢咧？就係個血壓。Alright, so if it gets to the embryo, do you want to give a very strong push to the embryo？ 會下下推啲血落去，係嘭嘭嘭嘭嘭咁樣去 ？Will you push that type of blood to the embryo? No, right? So for the blood entering the embryo. 嗱，呢個句子有錯㗎 ，OK? The blood will not enter the embryo, right? But then, just imagine the direction. 係 from 呢一個嘅 placenta to the embryo 係個 direction 係個方向嚟嘅啫 ，alright? We'll talk about that later. So the blood pressure is lower 係好 gentle 嘅啲 blood，OK？ 你唔想去炸死個 baby 嘅 ，OK？ But then when it's leaving, the blood pressure will be higher. Okay, just like entering your heart, 翻返去心臟嗰陣時 the blood pressure will also be lower. Okay? And then, the end. This one is very often tested. 你哋就會撈亂咗啦 You guys will mix up. Okay, so everything is the opposite, including the valves. But this is wrong. Okay? 呢一個係跟隨翻一個 artery and vein 嘅 principle 嘅。When we talk about valves, it still follow the principle of arteries and veins. Valves are absent in arteries but present in veins. Okay? So just be careful of this one. This table is very important. Okay? But make sure that you understand the concept well as well. 好啦，冇問題嘅話咧，我哋就去繼續咯。Okay, so the embryonic villi 咁就 in the placenta 啦，佢就會黐住咗 attach to 一個嘅 mothers 嘅 uterine tissue 啦，然後啦就會 form 咗個 placenta 啊嘛，佢就會 contain 一個嘅 capillary 嘅 ，OK， 然後啦就會 extend to 一個嘅我哋會講到一個嘅 maternal blood space。Let's see, how do we say that? We can look at this diagram first. 睇一睇呢幅圖先啦 ，next page. Alright, so this is the direction of the baby. Alright, this is the, or you can just say embryo. This is still the embryo. And this is the mother. Okay, so this whole area, 成個 there is this blood area, right? 成個 the area red and blue in colour， 成個都係我哋會叫做一個嘅blood space， 或者有啲人會叫 blood chamber 啊 ，OK？Prefer 你跟翻書入邊嗰隻字啦，就叫 blood space， 中文係血腔 ，OK？blood space 啊，咁然後啦 ，on the right hand side 就會 to the embryo，on the left hand side 就會 go back to the mother 嘅 ，OK？One very clear concept， 一個好清楚嘅 concept 就係 there is no mixing of blood， 係 no mixing of blood between embryo and mother， 得唔得？呢個搞清楚啊 ，OK？ 佢只係有個 direction 嚟嘅啫，佢只會有個方向嘅啫 ，OK？So this is so-called the blood space。咁又啱啱講緊嘅就係 there is some villi， 呢啲就係一個 villi 啦，就會係 sticks into 一個嘅 placenta，OK？ 成個位置都會係一個 placenta 啦，得唔得？Okay, so the villi 會有一個嘅 capillary 啦，然之後啦 what is happening 就會 extend 咗 into 一個嘅 blood space。點樣 extend 啊？因為從而啦去 carry out 一個嘅 material exchange。OK， 好啦，咁然後啦，我哋就會講啦，啱啱講咗啦，佢哋嘅 their blood is separated， 佢哋嘅 blood 係分開嘅。Okay, so these 3 marks also very important. Please recite. 你係要背咗佢嘅 ，OK？ So this part I will have dictation with this part as well。有幾個部分啦，都會一齊 dictation 噶啦。I forgot to type it down, so please help me put it down here. This is the first one about the function of amniotic fluid. This is the second one about why their blood are separated. There is a third one. 第三個啦，會再有嘅 ，OK？ We'll talk about that later。咁然後啦，呢度就會講啲乜嘢咧 ？So why are their blood separated？ 點解要分開咧？So first one 就係 avoid 呢一個嘅 breakage of 呢個 embryo 嘅 blood vessel。嗱，首先啊，so you can imagine normally in adults 一個 mature 嘅 person 啦 ，the blood pressure inside will be very strong， 佢會有一個好大嘅血壓嘅。So if they share the same blood， 佢哋如果係個血液共通嘅話咧 ，it will break the embryo 嘅 capillary 啦。或者佢嘅 blood vessel 咧 very easily，OK？So separated 就係 prevent 一個任何嘅 breakage 啦，因為 due to the high pressure。Remember 聽住呢度 ，when you tell me the reason， you cannot just type，you cannot just write， 唔可以淨係寫呢一句嘅，唔可以淨係同我講 ，you cannot just write avoid breakage of your embryo blood vessel。OK？You also need to tell me the reason， 你要同我講埋個原因嘅，係因為 high blood pressure of your maternal blood。Alright， 簡單嚟講就係 simply you need to recite the whole sentence。你要知道成個句子係講緊乜嘢嘅。Okay，another thing 就係 clumping of blood。So we'll learn this later。Okay，in chapter 28 I think。好啦，今日啊 clumping of blood 係咩咧？即係代表係血液凝集啊。有冇寫低啊？佢冇寫嘅。血液凝集 that means they are different blood。Okay，so when we talk about blood, you know that we have Type A, Type B, Type O, and Type AB, right? There is actually more， 係有多啲嘅。好啦 ，but then if the blood type does not match， 如果佢哋唔相容嘅話，呢度你見到啦 ，is incompatible， 指多一次啦 ，incompatible， 唔相配、唔相容嘅話咧 it will result in clumping of blood. 得唔得 ？Okay, of course, you do not need to recite every word， 唔需要記晒所有字 ，you just need to have the meaning， 你要有嗰個意思就得啦。呢個講緊嘅就係 blood from the embryo 同埋呢個 mother 啦，係 incompatible， 就會導致到 it will lead to clumping of blood。好啦，最尾一樣嘢啦，就係 prevent 呢個 entry of 呢個 pathogen 啦同埋 toxin 啦 from 呢個 mother to the embryo， 得唔得？記住啊 ，here 係只不過係 certain 係某啲嘅啫，某啲嘅 pathogen 讀一讀啦。That's what you need to know。pathogen 係指病原體 ，OK， 原本嘅原啊，病原體啦，或者 toxin 係解毒素 ，OK。But remember that this one we are talking about the pathogen and toxin, but not 呢個嘅 virus。Okay, so we will talk about that in the next section, but just put it down first. Virus, alcohol, tobacco, or you can say cigarettes, and medicine. So these four things, especially the last three 啦 ，alcohol 就自己攞到啦 ，alcohol 酒精啦 ，tobacco 或者呢個 cigarette 啦係香煙啦 ，medicine that means 藥物啦。Alright, so these three things are taken up by the mother's body, right? Try to avoid these things. And another thing that this is inside the mother's body. She may not be able to control. 有可能唔能夠去控制嘅。Virus 係病毒。Alright, so virus is different from pathogen. If you really want to know, you can mark this down as well. Pathogen 係一個統稱 ，it's a collective name. Just like corolla and petal, alright? 如果你仲記得我講乜嘢嘅話 ，so pathogen is a collective noun， 係一個籠統嘅字嚟嘅。So it includes what? It includes bacteria and virus and a lot of things, fungi. Okay, for example， 咁見到啦，其實 virus 係細啲嘅。Okay, it is under pathogen 嘅，得唔得 ？Okay。These four things have to be careful。原因係啲咩啊？點解佢淨係寫 certain pathogen 啊？原因就係 virus, alcohol, tobacco, and 一個 medicine, they can still enter the embryo's body from the mother. 佢仍然能夠入到去一個 embryo 度嘅。Okay, so actually it's written here. I'm so sorry. 咁呢度啦，就會望到啦，係 virus 啦 ，nicotine 尼古丁啦 ，which is found in cigarettes 啦 ，from cigarette 啦 ，alcohol 啦，同埋一啲嘅 drugs 即係類似 medicine 啦，一啲嘅藥物啦 ，they may cross the placenta and harm the embryo. Okay? So, I would like to stop here, otherwise this video will be too long. Okay? The next part, we're going to talk about the details of material exchange. 會講多少少關於一個嘅物質交換嘅。Alright? So, I'll see you in the next video. Okay? So that's all, and bye bye.